our panelists for their key takeaways or their final thoughts. Just a few things I wanted the audience to leave today's webcast with. Kanina, you led us off this afternoon. Perhaps you want to be the first one to give us a few of your final thoughts.
Sure, and I think my final thoughts kind of touches on what I just spoke to, that with respect to the issue of predominance and uninjured class members, the recent case law reinforces the importance of the parties to present evidence about whether the proposed class genuinely includes a significant number of uninjured persons, and whether those persons can be identified during the liability stage. And although there does still seem to be a split in the circuits, it is suggestive, or the recent cases are suggestive, that maybe this de minimis exception isn't something that can really be relied on, even for litigants in those circuits that have such an exception.
Thank you so much, Craig. We then heard from yourself. Perhaps you want to give us a few of your key takeaways.
Sure. Number one is I would endorse Kanina's key takeaway on rail freight and on the issue of uninjured class members. On Comcast, I would say that case clarified the burden on plaintiffs at the class certification stage by requiring their experts to present a robust model, and by making sure that their liability theories align with their damages theories. And on Hyundai, I would say that case, and particularly the interaction of the en banc opinion with the panel opinion that came before it, has emphasized kind of the different ways that courts will apply a predominance standard when evaluating a settlement class versus a litigation class, and the different burdens that fall on objectors and litigants in that connection. And it's something that folks should pay attention to when they're talking about a settlement class as opposed to a litigation class.
Thank you so much, Craig. Anne, we then heard from you. Perhaps you want to give us a few of your final thoughts as well.
Sure, thanks. I think that the cases we discussed here today really indicate that we're going to continue to see rigorous economic analysis at the class certification stage. And these analyses may include issues that are also relevant and go towards the merits of the case. And this analysis will focus on antitrust impact in particular. And as Craig noted, that even though there is some debate about whether the Comcast decision is an isolated decision or will apply more broadly, it has definitely had the effect that there is increased scrutiny and potentially discovery aimed at showing whether the proposed approach to antitrust impact reflects the economic theory of the case, and really delving more into the but-for scenario and the extent to which it's reflected in the analysis. I'd also say that both Asakal and Lamictal get to this question of, have you specified the but-for completely, and can you actually, to what extent is it reflected in the impact analysis in the case? And finally, I would note that in Lamictal, the discussion of whether the use of averages was appropriate extended not just to whether the proposed class members were likely to differ in the prices that they paid, but the judge's instructions also went so far as to wanting inquiry relating into the but-for scenario as to whether, for example, GlaxoSmithKline would have entered as an authorized generic. So therefore, we can expect that both sides in these matters will continue to perform rigorous analyses of the economic theories at the class certification stage.
Thank you so much, Anne. Sophie, we then heard from yourself. Perhaps you want to close us out with a few key takeaways yourself.
Sure. And I would sort of reiterate Anne's point about the sort of move towards more and more rigorous economic analysis, and also sort of point out that with that more rigorous analysis comes a lot more sort of testing of these the type of analysis that we see in these cases, whether it's a econometric model or other type of analyses, to really make sure that these models capture all of the real world intricacies that I went through some of those with respect to indirect purchasers, but really all of the different issues that might impact a model that's purporting to show the but-for world in these type of cases.